Oh man, but it's not looking good. Ugh. Now you know why I've been wearing a hat in all of these videos. Our days have gotten a little bit easier here since the last video that I made. We're into the third week of shelter in place orders, and right now we actually know that we're going to be here at least until May 3rd here in San Francisco. Like that's a full month away. And if you've been paying attention to what's going on all around the world, you probably are figuring out that there's a good chance that we will be sheltering even longer than just this next month. So with the news like kind of getting worse all around the world, our shelter orders extending in place, and just the fact that our last week was so rough, you would think that this week also might be rough. I mean, last week was pretty tough for us. It seemed like at every corner there was somebody who needed to raise their voice, right? Like kids were raising their voice. Ashley was raising her voice at the kids. I was raising my voice at the kids. We were all raising our voices at each other all week long. And basically, like, this is just code for saying that we were yelling at each other all week long. I mean, it's just being honest. Last week we had a tough time. But so far this week, it's actually not been so bad. I should knock on some wood there. And because of that, I've spent the last couple days maybe just like thinking about like what's different between this week and last. What could we be doing this week that's like so much better than what we were doing last week? I mean, we're still stressed out about getting the kids' schoolwork done. Like we've probably fallen into a little bit of a better rhythm, than we were working on last week. Right now we're getting up early and we're spending, hour and a half, every morning working on that schoolwork rather than just trying to like, do a little bit here, do a little bit there, and piecing it together with all the rest of our schedules. We're still stressed a little bit about cleanliness in the house. I think one thing we're realizing is just how like much we ate out before all of this. Like it is insane to me how many times during the week we're having to clean the dishes right now. I mean, they're always dirty. Us being in the house all the time means that we are always making a mess that is always needing to be cleaned, and so we're a little bit stressed out in the house because of cleanliness. We still miss people, like I think we've been working really hard to find ways to interact with family, with friends, and we're getting a little bit more creative with how we're talking to our neighbors, right? But we're in this whole isolation thing still, and we're still dealing with the unique kind of loneliness that this whole thing is bringing to everybody. Honestly, there's really not a lot that's changed about our routine this week, but there is, I think, one thing that really has changed, and that is how much we are trying to control. This is mostly a change in mom and dad, but that kind of a change has a causality that trickles down to the kids as well. So much changed over such a short amount of time. And honestly, we're just trying to hold on to as much as we can to try to keep everything in line. And, early on, I think that probably that made sense because very early on, you just assumed that the quarantine, the sheltering orders, those kinds of things, that they're only going to last for the minimum amount of time that was, said at that moment. And then once that, period of time was done, we just jumped back into our regular routine. Last week, though, I think that we were fighting two differing ideas about the situation. We were fighting this idea on one hand that things were going to just, quickly get back to normal as soon as possible. And then we were fighting this creeping idea that we were actually going to be stuck in the house for a lot longer than we had been told up to that point, right? And it was like as if one idea began to overtake the other idea. And as that happened, we tried to hold on and control everything as if that were even possible. But, as the reality of how long we're going to be sheltering in place started to really dawn on us, the more tension was added into our household because we weren't allowing ourselves to let go. It's interesting because the resolution to all of this hasn't been to either like double down on our control of things or just like the opposite end, just to let everything go. If we double down on everything, then the stress levels in the household, they'll blow through the roof, right? And it'll get really stressful. But then on the other hand, if we just kind of like let everything go, well, this house is just going to get really messy. And it's going to get really chaotic, and really, that's not going to help anything either. The resolution instead is something very maybe simple, right? But it is reflection. Just a little bit of thoughtfulness about what's going on. And maybe that sounds like a bit of a cop-out, right? But think about it in this way. How many times over the last few weeks have we had to chart a new course for what was happening? I run a church, right? And in the leadership group that we have at our church could probably tell you that the first week of all of this stuff going on, I sent out maybe a half dozen emails to them, all outlining a new plan of what it was that we were going to do. Things were changing, and they were changing rapidly, and my need to just be on top of things and in control of the situation, it wasn't really helpful. It kind of felt like I was grasping at straws. And so it's reflection, over this past weekend. I think maybe that's helped me come to the conclusion that, things have changed a lot. It's one thing to say that, it's another thing to really wrap your mind around what that means. But also that things are going to continue to change for the foreseeable future. So why am I spinning all of my wheels trying to establish a new routine that I can grasp a hold of? I can control, right? I can do that, but then, just continue to get angry as the world shifts and challenges my control over the things I think I can control. Or I can lean into my adaptability and allow the kids to stay in their pajamas all day long. Help them be creative, imaginative, help them to be happy throughout the week, and not just kind of going from one fearful moment to another fearful moment as they're afraid of their parents getting upset. I'll do a video later this week that's about reflection, because I think that it's a skill that, in the world behind us that was particularly lacking, but that it's going to be something that's really important for us as we continue to step forward. But let's start the conversation on that point. If you were to take 10 minutes today and reflect over the last 24 hours, maybe the last week, maybe even the last 3 weeks since all of this kind of started for us here in the Bay Area, what do you think would be the most important takeaway from that time of reflection? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. You'll probably notice that I didn't put out a video the past couple days, and I think I'm settling into a routine here with these vlogs. Maybe another thing I'm trying to control. I'll probably try and go, Wednesday to Sunday making videos, and then take Monday and Tuesday off, because, it's still just an important thing for us to try to find rest in this whole time. But, do me a favor. If you like the videos, go ahead and hit the bell icon. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you do like the stuff that I'm doing, share it around on social media, and let's just see if we can get this good word out to a few more folks. As always, I love you guys. I want you to stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.